Hi, I'm Nadia and I'm the Yogi.
And I'm Michelle and I'm the Blonde.
And this is the Yogi and the Blonde podcast.
In this podcast, we offer guidance,
Motivation,
education,
and inspiration
to help you adopt healthy habits you can sustain for life.
If you enjoy the podcast and would like further information,
head over to our Instagram or YouTube pages.
You can find the links in the bio. Welcome to our first podcast. I am the Yogi. My name is Nadia, and
I am the Blonde, also called Michelle.
Did you forget your name? Right. It's a bit of an odd day today. It's okay. This is actually take 3.
Take 3 of podcast 1.
It's called a learning curve.
Yes. Yeah, we've made a few beginner mistakes on our journey to get to podcast number 1. But hopefully all of the mistakes we've made thus far means that this is going to be beautiful sound quality and make a lot of sense.
And that you can hear it and not where you want to turn it off because it's so annoying.
Yeah.
But our first day, when we did attempt it, it was a great day. We were together all day. So we did a bunch of filming, and we did Costco. We popped your cherry for Costco, and what else did we do? And we attempted this, and then and learned we didn't have things plugged in, and it was just a mess.
Yeah. It was a long day.
But that was okay.
End of a long day, but it was fun. It was a learning curve. If you don't make mistakes in life, then you don't know,
and you
don't learn. Exactly.
Yeah. It's all about the learning, the learning process.
We're owning it.
Yeah. We're laughing about it. Michelle at one point was like, "What'd you say?" You're like, "Maybe this is a sign." I'm like, "No, it's just a technical issue. We don't have issues meeting up and doing things. It's just technical. It's okay. Yeah. I get it. Yeah. Anyway, so enough babbling for now. Our first podcast we thought we would talk about is accountability. Mm-hmm. The reason why we thought we'd say about accountability is because why did we start?
So Nadia and I, as well as being collaborators on the Yogi and the Blonde, we are actually accountability buddies. And we have been accountability buddies for the best part of last year. Mm-hmm.
July, August 2022.
Yeah, so we are accountability buddies regarding our separate businesses. We're both entrepreneurs, we're both business owners. So we are accountability buddies in relation to our businesses,
separate businesses, and
that kind of relationship has kind of flourished. Flourished is the word we came up with the other day.
I say blossom.
Into us now leading on to a collaboration, but ultimately it was accountability that we connected on.
It was a seed. It was a seed that planted our relationship.
Absolutely.
And how we work together and. And to be honest, it feels like a blur on how it happened. I just remember you sitting at the bench and you were doing, I don't know, I think bicep? I don't know, you were doing something. You were doing a workout. I was doing a workout. I was in the captain chair doing some core stuff. And I asked you what you were listening to. And you were talking about a podcast. And I was like, I was listening to music that day. I needed some motivation that day, and I made a bit of a wee joke to you. I said, "Oh, that's what I want to do this year," and I made a bit of a wee joke. I'm like, "You want to do one with me?" Not being serious, and you're like, "Maybe. What are you thinking of doing?" I was like, "Oh," and it just flourished from there, didn't it?
Yeah, and now here we are.
Yeah. So accountability. What Michelle is the researcher queen out of the two of us, and she looked up what the meaning of accountability is. What did you find, Michelle?
So the dictionary definition of accountability is an obligation or willingness to accept responsibility or to account for one's actions.
Okay.
So that's the dictionary definition. How do you view accountability? Does it tie in with this, or do you view it in a slightly different way?
My story with accountability is I've done a lot of courses you're aware of. I'm still on courses, still work in progress. But a lot of them that were the ones that were live, it was like we'd have some kind of group they'd put us in to do some group work or to keep us accountable. And I just found that really effective for me to be productive. I was so much more productive. And then the course would end and then I'd lose my productivity, right? So that's what I found. It's not, I don't know, just because you're working on your own and I don't have like somebody, if I don't do something, then it's, I've got no one to answer to. So, and I kind of like that fast because it keeps me accountable, hence accountability partner, right? Or a buddy. And as well as I found that like last year I really struggled just with my dad dying and you know, him being very sick. And then just I was grieving with that bit of him on being on his deathbed for so long, and I just really struggled, and I just found that I just by the end of last year I was just like falling into depression and just struggling with all that. So I found that even though as a profession, as you know, being a PT and being a yoga teacher and having all those titles still means I need help. And so I've then signed up to a colleague's 12-week online program, and I found that's like helped me get back on track with my own self-care, with my workouts and all that, and learning new things with food and with myself. So accountability is that for me. It helps me keep that movement going. So you think about, we've talked about the motivation thing, right? Motivation, you need to action to be motivated, right? And that's how I kind of look at the accountability. I don't know. That's just how I look at it. What about you, Michelle?
Yeah. For me, very similar. Um, I have found, so I've always in my past worked for other people. I've worked for corporations, I've worked in teams. So it has always been my goal to work for myself. So last year I achieved that goal. So I'm so happy, love it. But it's a very different way of working to go from working within an organization as a cog in the greater wheel to just then becoming the whole wheel. So for me, what I found when I started my business, and this is kind of how we connected because we had a conversation along these lines in the staff room in between clients. I found that I had all of these ideas, I had all of these things I wanted to do to improve my business, to improve myself. But nothing was happening because like you said, if you set yourself a deadline and you don't meet that deadline, there's absolutely no consequence because you are the boss. You've got nobody to tell you off. You are the boss, and if
you're in control,
you're in control. So there's nobody to. There are no consequences if you miss a deadline or if you don't do the things that you said you were going to do.
Yeah.
And for me, having somebody like yourself that I'm able to say, this is what I want to do, to have it out there in the universe and to have someone else to then check in with me and say, oh, so how did you get on doing that thing that you wanted to do? For me to then have to either say, yep, done, cool, tick, success. For me to then have to say, oh, actually, I didn't get that done. And then to be questioned, why? For me, that's where the value in accountability is, to have a look at the reason why. Why didn't I do that thing that I wanted to do?
Yeah.
And often, you know, there can be some very legitimate reasons why you don't do something that you want to do.
Yeah.
And then there can be some quite shaky reasons. And that, for me, is where I have found the value. Because you can kind of look inside. And I think this is where it relates a bit back to the dictionary. You have to take responsibility for your actions. And sometimes when I was saying to you, this is what I want to do, and you were saying, oh, cool, did you get that thing done? And I'm like, no. Sometimes you have to actually take a big, deep look at yourself and say, actually, why didn't I do that? And you can get some really good, valuable information from taking yourself on that journey and looking at reasons why you didn't do something.
Yeah.
Because some of it, like I said, could be legit. Some of it could be that you need a different way of working, a more efficient way of working, or a different way of managing your time.
Finding what works, like even
Yeah.
applying something, try something for a week, see how you feel, see how it works, maybe 2 weeks, give it a bit of a time. And
Mm.
if it's something that is not working for you, then you switch the way that you do it. And
Yeah.
that's what it's about as well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And having somebody to
absolutely.
talk to about and asking you the
Exactly.
big questions,
Yeah.
the big
Yeah.
questions that can be a
Yeah.
bit daunting and freaked out.
Asking the questions, um, but not necessarily in a telling off way, like
No, no, it's just
a
questioning
teacher
you.
pupil relationship, but just in a non-judgmental, did you do this? And if not,
Why?
why?
Yeah.
No judgment,
No,
be
just
honest.
yeah.
And like I said, for me, that's where the value is, because then you can become more productive. You can change your way of working. And actually, what I've found is that it helped me to restructure my priorities, because things I thought were important, actually, I realized when it came to it, weren't as important as
Yeah.
I thought they were.
Yeah.
So then I could then focus on prioritizing
Something
other
else.
things instead. So
Yeah.
for me, just been such a valuable process in terms of developing myself and my business and my ways of working,
Yeah.
um, to kind of go to that place, which you just never would, which
Yeah.
I never would if I
Yeah.
was going it alone.
Yeah, and it's good because you have someone to have like bounce ideas off as well.
Mm.
And for me, it's that big question. It's just like for about George. So a friend of mine, he I was struggling with some things, and yeah, he challenges me, but not challenges me in a bad negative way, but in a way challenges me because I would deflect. So we were talking about some emotional things that I had gone through, and I was really happy about something, and I was telling him about it. But then when he was asking the big questions of the why, and why do you think that is, and why do you think that is, just getting to dig a little bit deeper, I kept deflecting and changing subjects. And he's like, why are you deflecting? Why are you deflecting? Now you're deflecting, you're changing subjects. Because I totally would change the subject because I didn't want to talk about it, I didn't want to, and it just made me go, oh my God. And that is part of accountability, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is a part of working through that as well, is like
Mm-hmm.
figuring out why, like, and that makes you think. And through that made me go, okay, now I know. And I know what my this year's set up for me, 2023. I think I've told you this, is like all about accountability, about working on myself and the relationship with myself.
Mm.
And that's what that came to, was like going through that accountability. And he was pushing my buttons in the way of, why are you deflecting, and you avoid and you get scared. And but I felt comfortable with him that I wasn't scared, and I wasn't trying
Mm.
to impress anyone. I wasn't trying to say the right answer for whatever they're wanting to hear, because if I do that, and I think you've kind of touched base on that, then you're lying to yourself.
Mm. That's a really good point. Honesty. This is a process where you have to be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
And it's something that, I don't know about you, but certainly I sense that it happens with me as personal trainers. We do a lot of consultations when we're meeting new clients, and we need to learn about them, and we need to learn where they are at and where they want to get to.
Yeah.
Because then our role is to kind of help guide them from that position. But a lot of people won't necessarily be honest about the position where they're at,
Yes.
which can make it a bit harder
For you to help them.
for you to help them, because you're kind of giving advice based on what you have been told, which is what they think you want to hear. But we just want to hear
The honest
the
truth.
honest truth, and that's
Even if it's
where,
not pretty.
yeah, and that's where we can provide the most
Yeah.
value. Being
And
honest.
sometimes with not being honest about them is because they feel vulnerable as well. Because
Absolutely.
vulnerability for people, it'll show up differently. It might show up as a defense mechanism. They might be quite abrupt, or they might shy away and avoid.
Mm.
So, and it's just, I guess, just being kind to yourself and going, okay, well, if I'm not being honest with that person who's going to be helping me, showing me, guiding me, then I'm lying to myself,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it's just about able to, and it's also knowing that if somebody's asking you why, not to get defensive either. It's
Mm.
not just it's not just approaching it in an aggressive way of somebody, you were saying that in a nice way, questioning them, but also that person responding back and knowing that if you don't, it's not my problem. I'm just questioning you and helping you. So if that person also responds, so it's that relationship between the two people.
Absolutely.
And
That
feeling
is
trust.
the key.
Yeah, and comfortable.
Because if you are seeking accountability from somebody, whether that be like us for a business goal, because actually you can seek help from people for all sorts of reasons. We're both health and fitness professionals, and the Yogi and the Blonde collaboration is to help people improve their health and wellness and lifestyle. You want to be held accountable by somebody that understands you, knows when to push, but also knows when to pull back a little bit. Because like you said, that relationship, it's important to understand that there's no shame or any judgment. It's just a mechanism by which you can do the work on yourself,
because we're human
to improve, because that's what accountability is for, right? It's why we do it. I could have not sought any accountability for help with my business, but I wanted to, because I wanted my business to get better. You sought accountability for your health because you wanted to maintain your health and wellness in a time when you didn't have the headspace or capacity to prioritize those things. So the reason we do this is because we want to get better. We want to improve in what area it is that we are seeking that accountability.
And that's the thing. It's about help and getting, and the other thing too is about resonation. Like somebody, you got to resonate with that person. And I think that was one thing as well, because it took me some time to find someone, to find you, someone that you resonate with and you just get on with, because that makes a big difference as well. So if there's anyone that you are working with and you don't resonate with them, you don't, the best word I can find is resonate. If you don't resonate with them, you don't jive, you don't gel with them, find someone that you do. Find someone that you do, because then you'll be a lot more successful that way.
Because you'll be able to feel like you can be more honest.
And be vulnerable too, because when you're digging deep and and feeling, you might feel ashamed, you might feel not so good about yourself because you didn't succeed on something, or you had an intention of something and you didn't finish it. So you might feel ashamed and hard on yourself. So having someone who can be a bit more empathetic about it, and understanding and going, that's, understanding that, but also question you and going, why do you think that is? Because you've got to dig. You don't want to just have it all nice and fluffy and say, oh, you're good, da, 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 but not do the digging and being uncomfortable is where that growth is going to happen. And that's part of the accountability, is able to be uncomfortable with that person as well. Comfort of being uncomfortable, I think.
Comfortable being uncomfortable.
No, seriously. You think about it, because when we're wanting to create change, and that's what accountability is, because you're wanting to create change, and you're looking for someone to help you, keep you accountable for that. And to create change is uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
So it's about finding some comfort in that discomfort.
And something that is interesting about accountability is that you don't necessarily need accountability in something forever. It can be something that is for a period of time. For example, you're doing a 12-week program. You're not quite through it yet, but it will be interesting to see whether that 12-week program gets you back into the swing of things, gets you back into routine, and then you'll find that you don't need that accountability anymore. It can be something that you take somebody on to help you through a specific change in your life, and once you've implemented that change and once it's become a habit or second nature, you don't need somebody to be checking in with you all the time. So you might find that at various points throughout your life you will need accountability for things, and other times you might be absolutely fine. So I think it's an ongoing process, but something that you can kind of dip into and out of as and when you need it.
Yeah. And with that program, I'm actually what I'm doing is because for me, it's about the whole year. So it's not just for these little snippets. So I've spoken with this person, and we're like, what is it? After I'm done in 5 weeks because I started a week after they had started. So in 5 weeks, I'm done. But then she's going, because I just don't want to have to think about it right now. I've just got so much on my plate, just my own clients, what we're building, because we've got more than just the podcast. So yeah, so from there, I just want someone just to do it for me. And so she's going to do another 4 week program, and then she said she's got another 12 week coming on. So I might see how I go, because there is obviously a price difference and stuff. I'll just go with the flow and just go with what feels right for me and see what works, and just going from there. Really, that's where I'm at the moment.
Good.
With that. And then obviously we'll keep being accountable for each other while we grow. Grow this adventure. Oh, I hope you guys enjoy this. I didn't fall too far.
Yeah, if you're listening and not watching, Nadia just rolled off of a foam roller.
That was good. Am I red? Am I red? But that's the thing, nothing's perfect. I hope for those who are watching on YouTube, you got a good laugh. I think that's pretty much covering it. Is there anything else that you think that we need to cover for that?
I think that's
pretty
much accountability in a very big nutshell.
Maybe a bit. But the accountability is, I find it just, it's been such a blessing for me. It's been so helpful. And especially when you connect with like-minded people like Michelle.
Because we're all human, right? And we all need a bit of help.
Yeah, we do.
Sometimes.
We do. And when we're able to be vulnerable, I keep coming back to the vulnerability thing because that is important to be vulnerable. Yeah. Now, Michelle, what are you grateful for today?
Today has been a very busy day for me with PT clients. So I'm really grateful to have really amazing PT clients. I've enjoyed every minute of it, even though I've been working nonstop for 6 hours. But I loved every minute of it. I love working with people, and so I'm really grateful to be able to start my week off in such an awesome way.
Nice. I like that. That's really good. I really like that. That's a good way of looking at it. And I get you, because I feel the same with my clients. It's like, oh, yay.
My job.
My job too. Like, it's like, like tomorrow's a big day for me. Tomorrow's my big day. So it's like there's quite a, I think it's like I've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 clients back to back. That's intense.
That's a lot. Yeah.
That's intense. But it goes by so quickly. You're like gone. And I enjoy it.
Different, and you get energy from
all of them. And it just being in the gym as well, you find you get the energy and stuff. So I enjoy it. It's fun.
So what are you grateful for today?
What am I grateful for?
You can't copy me.
I can't copy. What am I grateful for today? I'm grateful for my physio, to be honest. I love my physio appointments because I get acupuncture, and that's why I'm like sitting up on something, because I've like hurt my hip, and which now has affected my knee. And I think I appreciate it because I just zone out. I bring my headphones, I have my yoga nidra playing, I do a yoga nidra face down, which is like sleep yoga.
You are so the yogi.
Face down, and I use that as rest time. And my Aura ring always connects it as a restful moment.
Wow.
Yeah, because I just like zen out, and literally when he came into, it was done, and because he puts on these suction cup things, and they electrodes and stuff. It's just great. I love it. Anyways, and he came in, and I was like such in a state. I didn't realize that was. I thought I was like in a dream state. I didn't think it was actually him doing it, and he was already like pulling the needles out.
Oh,
Because I kind of went. I'm like. I took off my headphones. I'm like, "Oh, you're in here," and he's like, "What?"
Sarah,
Yeah. Oh, really? That
quickly.
quickly? So I'm really, I like my physio moments because even though I curse very badly when he puts them in, especially when they're like a sore, and there's like some tender points today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate my physio moment, my physio time because that's like a downtime reset,
Yeah.
especially when I come in with an iron face. We'll tell you guys about it another time. But that's us for today, I think.
Thank you for tuning in and listening to our first podcast.
Finally, third take.
Yeah. No time lucky, hopefully.
I don't. No jinxing, no jinxing. Okay, girl. That's us. And so I'm the Yogi, and I'm Nadia. I'm Nadia the Yogi. Thank you for joining us. And
I'm Michelle, and I'm the Blonde. And I'll see you soon.
See you soon. Thanks.
If you have enjoyed listening to our podcast today
and want to hear more, please subscribe using the button below.